So I committed to going to a class, 30 classes actually. And last week was the first one, and it was just an intro. It's actually a modeling and acting class with a lot of improv. And since I like to do speaking, improv has always been on my radar. I've had speaking coaches recommend that I should do improv. And there was a period of time when I was a bit afraid of it, but I'm working through it because obviously, like anything, whatever we're resisting could actually help us to grow as a person, right? And to experience new things. So I'm in this class, and I'm not going to go into how exactly I got scouted out and how that all came about, because I'll save that for another day. However, I did want to just talk about lessons learned in tonight's class. I think it's something that some of you can relate to. And I also think that some of the ideas that I'll share may get you thinking and may help you. Maybe you're going to want to get into a class, or maybe you're going to want to work on a particular skill. But I didn't really even understand what slating was. I've never been on a movie set. I've done modeling, but nothing, just pretty much for nonprofits or community events. And I am learning a lot of this terminology. So it is super helpful and challenging, of course. But tonight was all about slating and improv. And so slating, is how you introduce yourself. And it really got me thinking, because it reminded me that when we walk into a room, right? Whether we're walking into a boardroom or walking into a client office, walking into our place of business, our work, whatever it is, right? It really made me think that our presence is always speaking first. So how we walk in with, our shoulders back, our head high, our chin up, our presence is going to speak before our voice does. And it really got me thinking, because even though, like I said, that I had in the past, and this goes back to like 2014, which that's 11 years ago, right? That, improv, even though I've loved doing, and continue to love doing public speaking, I am planning on talking more about how we can help CEOs and founders to happily AIify their business. But I didn't, wasn't really ready to like jump into improv 11 years ago when some speaking coaches had recommended it. And now it's part of the program. It's not like I can extract anything out. The program, the class that I'm in, 2 hours a week, is covering everything, improv, slating, modeling, building your confidence. It's very comprehensive, super excited about it, and really, really grateful that I have the opportunity. But it did really get me thinking tonight that, of course, like our presence, if we're on a stage, like I said, if we're walking into a place of business, our presence, our energy is really going to speak first. So, mm, I, I was thinking, it's amazing too that our presence is shown on, in Zoom rooms, right? And this class happens to be virtual. So our presence is showing up, turning on our cameras, and whatever we can do and show and represent ourselves in the Zoom box. So whether we're in person or virtual, we should definitely be mindful of that. So that was really the first thing, was about, presence, speaking first, whether, before we even open our mouths, right? And then we did a commercial. So they gave us like a whole list of products, fake products, pretend products. And then we had 10 minutes to select a product and then figure out, how we were going to sell it on, on camera to everybody else. There were like 20 people there. So I did that. And the third thing that I learned was really a quote that the instructor had mentioned, that Morgan Freeman speaks about. And what Morgan Freeman speaks about is simplicity. And that also got me thinking, because of the fact that we as humans do tend to overthink things, myself included. And I've really had to work on that over the years. I used to be scared to death to even get in front of a camera. And now I'm pretty comfortable. Because I just feel that as long as I show up as myself, I, which there's nobody else to be besides yourself, right? Then I can get used to it. But I, of course, had to learn that. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is there are many of you that are afraid to be seen. Okay. Maybe you're afraid to be seen because you may not like the way your hair looks, or you're afraid to be seen because, you feel like you need to, have a certain color on, whatever the case is, or you want to get your hair done first. And the in the whole big scheme of things, what I've learned about doing lives since 2016 is that, some are going to be better than others. And as long as we show up to share some kind of information or experience, be thought provoking in some way, then we are being of service. And I can't think of a better feeling than being of service. I love helping people to have the courage to get in front of the camera, to get in front of the curtain, to step on stage, to just be themselves, because there is no other person better than yourself. And you all have intellectual property that only you can distill and share with people. You can't give that knowledge. You can give pieces, you can extract some of that knowledge, but the way that you look at life, the way you look at business, no one else can do that besides you. So I think that the quote that the instructor shared tonight is something that we can all learn from. And the fact that, being aware that we do tend to overcomplicate things, and just being in the moment and learning to trust ourselves, I think can help us to step forward and to step on bigger stages. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Was there, or is there, a particular thing or skill that you found yourself resisting, that that if you jumped into it or you tried it, that it could be the thing that could unlock other learnings for you? I would love to know. Please do comment and let me know. And my commitment for accountability is I'm going to do a happy executive pop up uh, after every class, whether I do it, in the evening or the following day, and just share a few of my lessons learned so that I'm thinking that maybe, it will spark some kind of interest in you, something that maybe you've been wanting to do. So I hope that what I shared with you tonight was helpful. And again, the main core message that I really took out of tonight is the fact that our presence always speaks first before our voice. So if we show up and our shoulders are not back and maybe they're slumped, or maybe we have a certain particular look on our face, or you know um, we are kind of dragging our feet, then that's the presence that other people are going to feel and see. So I would encourage you to check yourself and see if you are being present in the best way possible, right? Because even if you're saying all the right things, your presence is going to speak first before your voice. And of course, we can feel each other's energy, and, whether somebody wants to be there or somebody really doesn't. It's the same as if we're at a store, and I've witnessed this, myself. I could even tell, like, some of the younger kids that work at the grocery store that I go to. Some days they've had a long day, and I'll ask them, how are they doing? Were they busy? And there was one young gentleman that said that it was such a long day, and that a lot of customers were unhappy and complaining. And I think that's a lot. That's a lot of there's a lot too for a younger person, maybe newer to the workforce, to be able to take on and to process. And so I think that if we just focus on how can we show up as our best self, and really be mindful that we're leaving an imprint, we're leaving an impression on those people. So I'm not here to lecture you. I'm just sharing what I learned. And the big aha and learning lesson tonight for me was just thinking about being present. And so I just when I did my commercial, I just slowed myself down uh, intentionally, so that I could just be in the moment and sell what I was going to sell, because it's not like we had a lot of time to prepare for it. So anyways, that's my takeaway from tonight's class. And I will be back next week to share with you the takeaway from our runway class, which should be quite interesting. And I am looking forward to that as well, because that is also something that will help with presence and speaking. So I'll share my big takeaways from that. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. Is there a skill? Is there something that you've been resisting that you would love to do? Let me know.